Hello everyone, we're reading from Murder in the Kollel. We're up to chapter 19, White Chevrolet. The deputy chief and the mayor are already breathing down my neck, said Slatterly from across his desk. What am I going to do with you two? I put the ice pack over my aching knuckles on my right hand and answered, I am just an ordinary citizen visiting your fair city. What do you want from me? Ordinary my foot, you two are a walking disaster, he said in exasperation. None of this was our fault, said Daphna. That may be true, but we have never had such a crime wave in our city. We were a quiet little university town until you came along, said the cop. It was now almost 8 o'clock in the evening. We had made statements to the local police, the state police, and the FBI. The Kafia man, a.k.a. Ali Muhammad Salim, had been on the federal watch list for his association with the Islamic State movement in the Middle East. All 6 fellows that I had taken out were still obtaining medical treatment and had yet to be officially booked into the system. The police were able to obtain 22 videos that documented all that had happened. 4 videos had somehow been leaked, and the Hill House horror was already being shown every 15 minutes on the syndicated news shows. In mock modesty, I said, I'm only here to help the local public safety officials. Slattery said, the feds told us that Salim was boasting to anyone who would listen and that all the protesters were not locals. They came up here specially from Dearborn. That made sense, since Dearborn, a suburb of Detroit, had the highest Arab population of any city in the U.S. It was only logical that it would also be the home of any Arab extremists who supported radical causes. What do you mean they came up here special? What were they trying to accomplish? Asked Daphna. The cop answered as if he was stating the obvious, to catch and kill you both. They were hired to kill us, I asked. Nope, said Slattery. It was a freebie. They were recruited. By whom, I asked. You know that paper Salim had in his hand, asked the cop rhetorically. It was an official alert from Peace International, telling the world about your crimes. But it was a lie, I stated emphatically. You know that, and I know that, and maybe Salim really knew it too. But for him, that piece of paper was good enough, said Slatterly with a nod of his head. They also received a counterfeit warrant from The Hague and a clear description of what you both look like along with the photographs. How did they get a picture of me, I asked. Hacked it off your driver's license photo from the Secretary of State's DMV file, said Slatterly. They even had a description of your black suit and fedora. Plus, they were informed that you would be at the Hill House at 2 o'clock. Who knew you would be there at 2 o'clock? But we didn't go there at 2. We arrived at 1, said Daphna. That's because they moved the meeting to 1 o'clock, I said. So who knew you were supposed to be there at 2, asked Slatterly. I turned to Daphna. Did your mother know? She nodded in the affirmative, and I turned back to Slatterly. The whole world knew. Well, who fed them the false information about us, asked Daphna. Anonymous informant. Everything came to Salim via email. 3 different messages, all from an East Lansing coffee shop that offers computer access. Did you check out the coffee shop, I asked. Slattery shook his head. No leads there. No records and no video. We're still looking. So Mr. Salim gets all this stuff, gathers a bunch of goons, fakes a protest, all in order to catch me, I stated. Or it could be her, said Slatterly, pointing at Daphna. The email made a rather graphic suggestion that she should be killed. What about what Salim said, that his sister was raped and killed by the Israelis? Was that true, I asked. It never happened. It was all bullshit. He was playing the crowd. The FBI says that Salim is an only child. But considering that the report from the Peace International was a fake, and there never was such an incident, what was one more lie, said Slatterly, holding up his palms. The feds think he was tipped off that he was about to go down for his terrorist activities, and he thought suicide as an Islamic martyr was better than extended stay in Guantanamo. Catching you, Mr. Zionist criminal, and killing Daphna would look good on his Shaheed credentials. It was a perfect setup for Salim. He probably suspected that it was all a bunch of lies, but he didn't care. He was looking for a good cause to die for. He made up the part about his sister to add dramatic effect, crowd appeal. So someone wanted one or both of us dead, he said. The cop nodded his head in agreement. Do you still think that none of this is related and that Klein was a suicide? Look, I admit it could be, but we still haven't got a clue as to who it might be. How they did it or why? We're working on it, said Daphna. And making a shambles of my city in the process, said the cop. Have you got anything on the white car, I asked. Oh, do we ever, said Slattery, casting a glance at the ceiling. Julie, tell him about the car. Detective Dalton opened a small notebook and read off. No one at that block owns a 209 Chevy Malibu. As a matter of fact, no one for a 5-block radius. Unfortunately, there are over 7,000 of the 209 models listed in a 75-mile radius. But how many of them are white, I asked. I'm getting to that, said Julie. Only 800 are white, but then we hit a problem. Our auto expert looked at the video and he is convinced that although the front of the car is a Malibu, the rear end is from an Impala model. So which is it, says Daphna. Slattery said, both. How can it be both, I asked. The Malibu and the Impala use a similar chassis, said Julie. If the car was in a big wreck and the rear end had to be fixed, someone could have spliced on an Impala rear end from another wreck. Is that possible, asked Daphna. Julie answered by spreading 4 pictures on the desk. Take a look at these. The top 2 are the front ends of the Malibu and the Impala models. The bottom 2 are the rear ends. Malibu on the right, Impala on the left. See how the Malibu front has 3 horizontal bars and the Impala 2? The Impala rear end has rear lights that wrap around to the side, while the Malibu lights are only on the back. Distinctly different. She then placed 2 more pictures on the table. They were blurred and grainy and showed the front and rear sections of the white car from the surveillance video. See? Front, Malibu. Rear, Impala. And you say someone patched the rear end of an Impala on a Malibu front, I asked? Yep, said Julie with a nod of head. But it could be that someone put a Malibu front on an Impala. Our auto guy says it would take some interesting bodywork, but it was definitely possible. Wouldn't whoever brought it notice the strange combination? Queried Daphna. Slattery looked at me and asked, what do you say? Would you notice? I had to admit that until just now, I had not known the difference, not known how to differentiate between a 209 Impala and a Malibu. I would never have noticed. No, I wouldn't. Slattery continues. So that almost doubles the number of cars we have to check because we don't know if the original car registration was for an Impala or a Malibu. Also, if it was in a wreck, then there's a good chance that the white was not its listed color. Dalton added, so we have to look at all the Impalas and the Malibus from the year 2009. And we don't even know if the car has a Michigan registration. It could have come from Ohio or anywhere. Add to that, the killer could have purchased the car for cash just to commit this crime. So if he did not register the pink slip with the Secretary of State, it will still be listed as belonging to the original owner. So you're saying there is no way you can find this car, I said? Dalton shrugged his shoulders. I'm afraid not. That was our only lead, I said in frustration. Now we're up the creek without a paddle. There might be a way to find the car, ventured Daphna. How? Asked Dalton. Well, you said that the front is a Malibu and the rear is an Impala. That's got to be pretty rare for a 209 Chevy, stated Daphna. I would think so, said Slattery. There may be a dozen of those in the world. So just look for a 209 Chevy with a Malibu front and an Impala back. Since it's so rare, if you find it, you have your suspect, said Daphna, as if stating the obvious. There is no way to just look for a certain car, said Slattery. It can't be done. Daphna nodded her head rapidly and said, yes, it can. I suddenly understood what Daphna was saying, and I looked at her questioningly. PlayStations? She turned to me and nodded her head. Plane stations. I pointed my thumb at Daphna and told Slattery, she can do it. End of chapter 19. Tomorrow we'll do chapter 20. Thank you.